Hey, everybody, welcome to Russ Reels Live this Thursday afternoon. It's 4 p.m. PDT where I am, and I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad you're here. My amazing friends back again talking abundance versus scarcity. I am so excited. It's going to be good. The gang's all back. Share this with your friends. Let them know. Here we go. Hey, oh my goodness. Here I am. I'm here. Really, I'm hiding, but I'm here today. Good to see everybody. Welcome to Russ Reels Live. And I am so blessed to be here now that you can see me. You know what? That's the fun thing about live. You know what? Whatever happens, that's what happens. So glad that you're here. It is 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time where I am. And I don't know what time it is where you are, but I am so glad that you're here because this is such an amazing community. I am so blessed to have you here watching today because, without you, we wouldn't have a show. So today I want to tell you right off the bat, get engaged, comment, tell us hi in the comments. Let us know that you're here today. There's so many amazing things that we're going to talk about today, but make sure that you let us know you're here. And please share this out. Share it with your friends right now. Tag your friends and let them know Russ Reels Live is on Thursday, 4 p.m. PDT. You know what? I'm so blessed and I'm glad that I'm here. So if you can let them know, that would be so great. Also, just want to remind you, we would love it on Russ Reels Live if you would join our YouTube community. And you know what? It's really simple. If you know the name of the show, you're all good. Go to russreels.live, and you can have access to all the amazing shows and guests that we've had, not only here on Russ Reels Live, and there's a lot of great ones, but also on Marketing with Russ, the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. It's all there. So today, go there today, russreels.live, and subscribe. I would be so thankful if you did that. Also, just want to tell you, you know what? This is going to be an amazing discussion today, but I am so thankful. This would not be possible without our amazing sponsors. There, I put it back on purpose this time. Abundance versus scarcity, that's what we're talking about. But our sponsors today, and let's take off this ticker so you can actually see it. There you go. Are Hinder Design. Okay, go to hinderdesignbuild.com today for more information. If you need design and building something great on a new house or your house, adding on whatever you're doing, call Hinder Design Build. They're here in the Pacific Northwest. They can help you out. Also, boulderfalls.com, bouldersfallsinn.com. There we go. I can speak. Is how you find out about Boulder Falls Inn, which is amazing here in Lebanon, Oregon. Boulder Falls Inn has an amazing conference center. So if you're rolling through and you need to have a conference or you're bringing people together, that they are the go-to. Also, Joan Johnson and State Farm, joanjohnsoninsurance.com. You're going to find all about State Farm and her insurance. I'm telling you, it's a blessing. So besides being sponsor driven, we're also listener supported. Thanks so much for going to the link in the comments. If you have the ability to help us with the broadcast, that's such a blessing. So please go. Without you, we cannot continue to broadcast. There's a cost obviously involved in broadcasting. So appreciate you being able to do that. So look for the link in the comments and the show notes today. Really appreciate that. Also, I'm getting ready to go to speak in New York. Thank you for all of you who have supported me. I appreciate that. If you want more information on that, message me and I will tell you more about how to do that today. So thankful for all of that. So I'm getting excited already. We got a great crew here today. And we're going to start off today with my good friend, Mr. D. Scott Smith. He is such an amazing friend, co-host, known him for years. And we're going to start this topic off today with Scott. And here we go. So I'm here with my good friend, Mr. D. Scott Smith. And Scott, you know what? You are all about an abundant life. Talk to me about this theme of today's show about abundance versus scarcity.
Yeah, we often talk about the mindset of a scarcity mindset where there are winners and losers, or a mindset of abundance where there are winners and winners. But back starting in the late 1930s and going forward, Harvard University did a study, and they studied like over 2,000 people, long-term study, specifically focusing on happiness and what does it mean, what does it take to be happy. And the surprising thing was, it wasn't finances, it wasn't intelligence, it wasn't these material successes. What it really focused on was relationships. So if you have good relationships, so if you had a good relationship with your parents, with your mother, with your father, there's indications that says you're going to be healthier when you get older. As you're going through, especially through middle age, and having good relationships. And we're not talking about quantity. It's about quality, about those deep relationships, those people that you can turn to that will in turn lead to greater levels of happiness as you get older. And as they map this out, it was interesting that people's happiness level is measured, and this is a self-reported type deal, tends to dip a little bit in middle age and then go back up again as you get older. And I thought maybe it's teenagers. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. I know I was a teenager and I brought grief to my family. So maybe that's part of the deal. But the important thing is if you're looking for abundance, make sure that you're focusing on building and maintaining and sustaining deep personal relationships.
Yeah. No, that is so true. And, I'm all about connection and community building. And you and I together have built such an amazing community, and it gives you a life of abundance to be all around these amazing, amazing people. And Scott, as always, you're a blessing. Thanks so much for being with us today. I appreciate you, my friend.
Great to be a part of Russ Reels.
All right. See you soon. Boy, I tell you, it's always so amazing to have Scott on. I just appreciate him and his wisdom. He's a blessing to me, always has been. Next up, we're going to get the ladies in the house here. Roz is always ready to roll and always has her thoughts. Hey, Roz, how's it going?
Hi, nice to see you, Russ. It's so good to be here and good to be back with the gang.
Yes, well, it's such a blessing to see you. It's the only way I get you over here and all together is if I do a live stream. So there you go. So that's my secret.
And only on scarcity and abundance.
Yeah.
Is this like our third time for the same subject?
Yeah.
But you could think of it so many different ways. Just like Scott said, I love the fact that he mentioned relationships, but I think it's also having a good relationship with yourself, because it begins with the mindset of, are you thinking of it in a way where, okay, I don't have time for this. Well, is that an intentional choice? It's like really standing in your truth. It's saying, you know what, this is not a priority for me. And all of a sudden, space becomes available. And all of a sudden, there's an abundance of time. So I think it really does matter on building the relationship with yourself first, and then having those other relationships, externally. Because I think they're going to be fuller if the base is set. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think you need that foundation. And I think that is so, so important. And, well, listen, I think we're going to get the guys in the room here and we'll have more discussion on this because I could keep going with you, but here we go. Joseph Gonzalez. Haven't seen this friend for a while. Oh my goodness, Joseph is in the house.
Boom!
Boom.
The last one.
Hey, I'm just a regular Joe. Those regular things for regular folks to lead a regular life. But you know what? And it's great to really dig into what that abundance lifestyle is, because like like Scott's mentioned, Rosalind and you, the foundation comes from within. And that has to be something that I tend to think, just myself, that I was given that gift to have that foundation of happiness, motivated, energetic, and understand that that comes from something that God gave me. And then you build off of that, because like Rosalind said, if you don't capture that within yourself, I mean, what can you do? What can you receive externally that can build that abundance muscle in your mind? Because it does start mentally, and it starts with self-acceptance. So that's something that, that I just think about a lot. And I love the fact that we have that opportunity within ourselves to be that,
Well, I could agree more again. I mean, you guys are both on, in my steps of connection that I do, and I actually present on, the first step is connect to yourself, because it is all about that. It is all about the foundation of building on who you really are, what you really stand for, and all of that. You can't connect with others if you don't even know how to connect with yourself.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
and a master at connecting with himself, Mr. Bob Feathers, is in the house. There
And
he
his
is.
food.
Ooh.
Yes.
How's it going, Bob?
Good. Great to be here. Good to have
Yes,
a
well,
band back together.
It is so great to have you here. You know what? For those people that don't know this, I got a great opportunity to be with Bob, sitting right across the table, having coffee just a short time back. What a blessing. Still waiting to do that with Roz and Joseph. But you know what? One at a time. Just got to keep picking them off as I get around the country. So, but Bob, talk to us a little bit about this. We're really, the theme at the moment is starting with the foundation of self, connection and abundance. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just having a conversation this morning with somebody here at the Workshare space, and we were just catching up. It's Monday, we're catching up about the weekend and chatting. And he said, you're really good at nurturing friendship, because he and I had made this connection. He said, I'm not as good about that. I said, it's interesting you bring that up, because we've been going to talk about this whole idea of relationships and nurturing and how you build on these things. And I said to him, one of those things I said to my son, to some of his friends at school, they're in college, and two of them are graduating, and I had lunch with them. This is last May. And I said to the boys that are graduating, I said, here's my bit of advice for you guys. Obviously, you're going to get jobs. You're going to do well. You're going to concentrate on this job. I said, I want you to focus on one thing: relationships.
Yeah.
I said, I know you guys will be successful in your work, and I know you'll grow. But I said, do not put everything else aside for that work. I said, concentrate on the relationships. And I said, not just personal, the ones at work, the people you're meeting, the things you're doing. But I said, those will pay off in the long term. And, you find those people, right, that all they do is work, and they put everything else aside, and they don't create that balance. And then they wake up one day and they're like, I have no friends. I have no one's here to help me, or, just like we need help. And it's not to say like I don't have friends, but it's like idea of like this foundation of support of that network. So really concentrate, nurture those friendships, nurture those relationships, again, personal and professional, because these are really things that will build upon your life and will bring a lot of richness in lots of different ways.
Well, I'm telling you, you have all been such blessed friends to me for quite a while now. And I'm so thankful, because my life, between my beautiful wife and family and amazing friends like you guys, no matter what you go through, no matter what kind of scarcity you go through, no matter what kind of challenges you go through in life, it's always better. And you always have somebody you can count on, and you always have somebody that'll pray for you and you can talk to, and it make you feel better, And that's so important, because I think it all starts, like we're talking about, within you, within your heart, if you live an inner life of scarcity, you're going to live an outer life of scarcity. If you live an inner life of abundance, you're going to live an outer life of abundance, right? And I am truly, truly thankful to God every day for people like all of you, friends like all of you that are there for me, because I feel like it's not by accident. And you're right, Bob, what you said, you have to focus on building those relationships, because when you're building your life, you have to have something to build it on. And those relationships and that foundation you have really takes you where you need to go. Right, Roz?
Absolutely. And I will bring up two things with building the relationships externally. I think when people say, well, I don't have any friends or I don't have anyone to talk to, I think it's a matter of, one, being vulnerable with yourself before you're vulnerable with someone else. It's trusting. It's the word trust that is really hard. I mean, how many people I have encountered that said, I can't trust anyone at work, or I can't. And it is true, because we are in that scarcity mindset, with the economy and businesses holding back, the monies and not hiring as much. So, everyone now is not in the trusting mode, not mood, but mode of just not doing that. So then it perpetuates, and then it starts to have a momentum. But the second thing that I wanted to bring up is that you can stop that by making the intentional choice of not doing that, of standing in the truth at that moment in time and saying, you know what, this is, going to be a priority for me. And to take a page out of Bob's book, it's really about words, because they do matter. It changes the mindset. So if you start thinking, in terms of different kinds of words, like costs, as soon as we hear, okay, how much does it cost, right? And everybody just starts to get nervous. Well, what's the investment? All of a sudden, now we just switched it a bit. And now we're coming from a place of space and abundance. If we say retirement, oh my God, I'm going to retire. What are we going to do? All of a sudden you're like, no. If you replace it with purpose, now all of a sudden you're at a place where, oh, okay, well, I have a whole lot that I can actually do. If you say transaction, boring, right? It's like, I don't know if I really want to. Right. If you replace it with transformation, all of a sudden now there's space, for that. So it's like blowing.
Right. Well, and it's just like you said, it's a total shift and a change of mindset, how you're looking at things too, because the way you look at things, the perspective that you have on life drives all of your actions, all that you do, and what comes out of you. What is inside of you, Joseph, comes bursting out. So if you're like you and more than just an average Joe, it comes bursting out.
Yeah, I love the fact that Rosalind brought up trust. For me, when I was younger, I was just like that. I'd say, dude, I can't trust anybody. And what was happening in reality was it was holding me back. And the first thing that I think of now, I said, look, we toss around three words: real, genuine, and authentic. We put that together with relationships. Do you want to build a real, genuine, authentic relationship? But I always look at it and says, first, I have to build that real, genuine, authentic relationship with myself so that I can move on and use that trust in my favor. Because to me, there's no more greater gift than I can give you, Bob and Rosalind, but my full 100% trust, and say, hey, I have faith in them. I trust them regardless of what we've encountered in the past. And the mind shift is huge. Everybody uses it in organizations, pivot, change. Yeah, but if you never have the ability, or you never take those steps to pivot or change your mental approach to how you go throughout your life, that scarcity is going to take a hold of you and you're not going to figure it out. Support is huge. at all moments of life, whether you're in an abundant state or in a scarcity state. You definitely have to have a support squad around your people that empower you to be able to get around those times, because at times, we all know, sometimes we get stuck. I'm not perfect. I'm the most perfect
really
being. Hey. Alex, you got,
I thought you were perfect, Joe. Oh my God.
Listen, but
Well,
things.
this is what I think about what we see in the world around us. I think we all can agree that we're living in kind of a crazy world right now.
Yeah.
There's lots of things going on, but let me tell you, people that feel like life is hopeless and that commit suicide or do horrible things, shoot other people and do things, are all living in a place of scarcity and no hope.
Right. That's right.
And so this is where those things happen. People that are blessing, loving, and giving to other people are living at, well, usually, I mean, I can't say for all people, but if they're exerting those things, most likely they're living from a place of abundance. They feel blessed. They feel hope. They see good things ahead. So talk about that a little bit, Bob. I mean, the fact is, there's no magic pill for what we see in the world. I mean, really, God is the answer, but the way that we see ourselves and how we project ourselves in the world makes a huge difference. And that's something that we're seeing both ways, good and bad right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull on a thread a little bit that Roz hit on and kind of build this idea of, again, that's kind of what we're building on. But communication is key, right? Trust is key. So one of the ways you can do that is full disclosure. And I don't mean like, here's my PIN number, da-da-da. But I mean, it's going back to Josie. It's being authentic. Starts with yourself. And I'll just use the example of you run to somebody, at your work share space. I run to somebody in the morning and I know them. We have, conversations. We build upon those. And I say, how's it going? And usually we would just go, fine, whatever.
Right.
But I've already said, like, it's not going fine for me because there was something, let's just say it was my father-in-law, which some of you know, my father-in-law passed this summer, and there's a lot of difficult times where someone said, how's it going? I said, not so great. And then I explained what was going on. Not in full detail, but just kind of said like, hey, here's where I'm at. And that person was like, oh, and then it was like, we started a conversation because that conversation was real. I wasn't just hiding behind like, oh, it's fine. Right. And we just had a conversation. So I'm now building a thread there with that person to say, here's what I'm about. And I'm talking about something that's hard to talk about, but I want you to know about it. So I'm not, so again, you start to build up that trust. And trust is, you got to earn it. But at the same time, I kind of go with my attitude also is that I inherently trust that everyone's pretty good in general. So I entered that social contract saying, I trust you. I believe you're doing good things. I believe you're a good person. So I'm going to start with that in mind. That's how I see things. So I'm going to trust you and then share with you something about myself. And I find that the people I've been meeting with and talking with over these, these past couple of years being in this offices, we're having more and more real conversations about our kids, about this, just about work, about situational things beyond, just that has nothing to do with any of us at this space, but just about ourselves. And they're good conversations and they're real. And it's trust.
And I think that what you're saying too is authenticity and building that trust. You can still have an abundant mindset. You can still have an abundant life. In fact, people that are confident enough to be able to share some of that usually are more likely to be the abundant type and the positive type inside because they're feeling like they want to have that real conversation. And, it's so true. A friend of ours, Nancy Deborah, always says, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay sometimes not to be okay. That doesn't mean you're a horrible person or you think life is terrible or you're living from scarcity. We all have challenges, right? I lost both my parents. You just lost your father-in-law. They tell me I have cancer. Those kind of things. It's okay to understand that and live within that. But, I always have but I'm moving past that. I'm not going to sit in that.
Yeah, I want to say, Russ, just to kind of follow that point is that it's not a downer when I'm telling these things. I'm literally just saying like, hey, here's where I'm at right now. However, here's a joke, or just, that's something. I'm
Well,
not just
that's
making light
true.
of the situation.
And I
but I'm
agree
also
with
just
that.
sharing, right? Just
You
kind
know,
of,
the Bob, it's standing in that truth. You're
Right, that's
not
right.
you're not hiding behind anything. I think that the
Right.
moment we start hiding behind something, it starts to feel like scarcity.
right.
And
That trust.
it's that exactly. And so I think that, and the question that people say, well, how do you know you can trust someone? And I always say that, I don't know, the universe or God gives you, whatever it is, a somatic response that in your body that can tell you that, okay, this is going to be a good conversation, or this is a person that I can actually connect with and build and start building the trust. I think that, the body keeps the score, that there's a book about this, about the somatic responses. You always know, because it's the energy that they bring in to the relationship that will ultimately tell you whether or not there is trust available there.
Well, and don't you feel, Joseph, that you have to trust a little bit to build trust?
Well, I'm going to go with the old saying, the gut feeling, when it's in your gut. And over time, like everything else, you get to know the individuals a little bit more. You engage, you communicate, you go back and forth, you share ideas, you share thoughts, you share the struggles that you're going through, and you build that trust over time. I'm not going to walk out in the street today and say, hey, dude, I trust you 100%. Come in my house, hang out with my kids and a whole bit. I mean, to me, that's a little bit far-fetched out there. But in reality, trust is something that I think it's a God-given gift over time that we build that relationship, and we're just human beings. I can't expect Bob or Rosalind, myself or Russ to be perfect, but I can expect you guys to be, well, I'm the worst one on this panel here, I'm just a regular Joe, but
we're imperfect, perfect beings.
We're the most perfectly imperfect human beings in the world. And I thrive in that space, because they say, what have you done? I said, dude, I've done everything wrong. I've never done anything right. So I'm transparent. Nothing has gone right, and I've done everything wrong. But you know what? I love the fact that God's given me another day above ground, and I'm going to thrive and live off of that day and be the best person that I can to whoever I come in contact with. And that's what I've done. And that's what I do.
Part of that being abundant is being thankful and grateful for what you have too. I mean,
Right.
when you start being grateful and thankful in the morning, and as you all know, I do that every morning intentionally, not because I wake up and immediately I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful. No, I wake up actually, and I have to tell myself, you're thankful, you're grateful. And you know what? That's talking to yourself, Bob. I talk to myself every morning, because if I don't, nobody else will, because no one else is awake yet. But anyway,
But you know what I call that, Russ? And this is something it's the soundtrack.
Right.
I call it the soundtrack, but I use that word, the soundtrack, because I grew up in the 70s, and of course we had movies, and you always got that record of the soundtrack, and we always loved the soundtrack, right? There's always like, oh my God, that reminds me of that movie.
Right.
But it's the same thing. And there's easy for us to play the soundtrack, the negative soundtrack. It's easy to kind of go like, oh, that phone call, I thought I did everything right. And at the end, that person did something odd. It must have been me. That's the initial, right? Everyone just kind of goes, oh, it must have been something I did. Instead of being like, I did the best I could. I did everything I did. I'm not sure what that was about, but that's whatever that was about. And I'm not going to worry about it, because I know I did everything that I could, to answer that question, or to have that great phone call. So I say, that's that person. So the positive person says, I had a good conversation with this person. I answered the questions. Everything went right. The fact that it ended weird wasn't on me. That's them. And that's fine. And at the end of the day, again, you start building that soundtrack, which is the positive affirmations, and not to be like later, but it's easy to play the negative soundtrack, but you have to continually say, whoa, take that out of the tape deck, put the positive soundtrack in.
Exactly.
And you got to play that for yourself. And if it means literally saying it out loud, I'm good enough, or I'm happy to have my health, or my family's here, or I have a roof over my head, or I drive a nice car, I've got food in the fridge, like all those little things that we probably take for granted. Remind yourself, play that soundtrack a little bit, and then just be like, oh, okay, yep, I've got it pretty good. Now let me concentrate on how I get even better, how I serve other people, and how I, again, play that soundtrack.
Right. So in my new book, I call that the trailer, because the trailer is a preview of the movie. Well, your morning, you have the trailer of your day. And by the way, I'm just going to throw this in there just for fun right now. Oops, so there we go. Life Happens and Then You Choose. My new book is coming out here in November.
Yeah. There you go.
And so I talk about that exact thing because sometimes the enemy of our souls and the negative thoughts beat us to the punch in the morning, and we wake up and that negative trailer starts. What do? Well, we have a choice right then. And exactly what you were talking about, Bob. I grab hold of that and I go, nope. And I start talking and playing the positive trailer, talking about what I'm expecting that day and that I'm thankful and grateful. And I'm expecting good things and abundance that day instead of negative things. Because you know what? What you tell yourself, it's such a huge effect on what actually happens. We can't speak everything into existence, but I tell you, we can convince our minds the way things are and really be so much more positive and so much more abundant just by thinking the right thoughts. Change your thinking, change your life. I'm telling you, it's true and it happens, but we've got to take charge of that. So Roz, take it up from there. I'm just going to give it over to you.
I agree with everything you're saying, and that the words do matter, and the soundtrack matters. And I think that once you start playing the soundtrack, you start thinking differently. I think when we start thinking about the scarcity and abundance, it's like I always ask, how do you want to grow? Like, how is it that, do you want to shrink or do you want to grow? And how can you reimagine, scarcity at this point? Or how can you reimagine the visual of abundance? So when we, start to recreate, because it really hinders our creativity, it hinders our problem solving, it hinders our productivity when we are in that mindset. And the one thing that comes to mind that I just learned just a week ago, a new term that I really wasn't, as soon as I heard it, I knew, but I couldn't grasp it until like maybe 5 seconds later. So as we grow onto new levels, whether that it's going to be an intellectual, relationship wise, jobs, whatever profession, you start growing. So as you grow, that old soundtrack comes in. So it's new levels, new devils. There's always going to be something that's just going to come in and try to take it away. As soon as you get to that level, there's going to be a new devil right underneath. And then you get into, it starts and it restarts. And all of a sudden you're just going, okay, do I have to keep doing this? Yeah, you do. Yeah, this is what we have to do. And that's how you're going to keep growing. That's how you're going to keep yourself out of it. But as soon as you get to that new level, just remember that new devil is going to come in and going to try and change your soundtrack.
That's right, for sure. Joseph?
Yeah, a lot of folks will say, I'd say about a week and a half ago, I presented before a couple folks there that wanted me to come in and help them out. And one of them stood up and said, oh, but you're a motivational speaker. And I said, no, I'm not, dude. He says, what do you mean? I said, no. I asked him, what's your biggest challenge on a daily basis? And he came up with some ideas. A guy that's been an executive for I don't know how long. And then regular Joe walks in and it's going to change his mind of what he thinks this should look like. So he came up with all these great professional words. And I said, you know what? For me, the only challenge or competition that I have in life is myself. I said, have you ever taken the time to figure yourself out? Why do you have those ups and downs in life? We all have them. But what are you doing today in trying to get around these ups and downs? So when he said motivation, I said, look, motivation doesn't last. But routinely, consistent, massive action every day will take you to where you want to go. And it starts in your mindset. The way you approach your days, understanding that when you confront the devils, that you're going to have to pivot, change, or overcome them, regardless of what level you are in life. They're always going to appear. And in Spanish, there's a saying, the devil doesn't know. El diablo sabe más por viejo que por diablo. The devil knows more because he's old, not because he's the devil. He's been around for so long that he's full of wisdom to try to bring you in. So you have to pivot, change, and overcome those different levels as you get up in life. And that's one of those things that it's a consistent action and it has to be repetitive.
And it's a daily thing, right, Bob?
Absolutely. Yeah. Can we talk about this? I think, we kind of, it's been a theme too, but consistency, right? That's a huge thing. And then intentionality. Joseph's right, because there's another component to this as we just kind of go through that soundtrack is as we build. All those experiences are also then start to kind of go through and go, oh, wait, I've experienced this before. Let me go into my toolkit here.
Yes.
And I can go find, I got just the thing for this. And you may not need them all the time, but they're there, right? And this is that kind of thing. This is why the devil's really good at it, right? Because the devil's doing it for a long time. But we too have been doing it. And each time you do it, you learn from your mistakes. Right. And you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that again. And here's what I did to fix that or solve that or move past that. Right. And if you're smart enough, you kind of go, okay, put that away. And, and you kind of build upon that. And you have a nice little toolbox of things. I'll give you a perfect example. Again, with my father-in-law, that whole had to change my life. And someone said, dealing with the isolation. And I said, well, I had something in my tool bag for that. And they said, what? I said, COVID. Right. I experienced that. And we navigated that and we learned all sorts of tools from there. And I had that pulled some of those things out of my tool bag. Said, I got to deal with some of these isolation things. How do I stay connected with people even though I'm not physically with them? Right. But I just reached that tool bag, pulled it out. And again, kind of just every day kind of was consistent with that message to myself about where I'm at, what I need to do, how I need to stay connected. And then kind of knowing that this wasn't the end. There was always another end. There's the end is just it's way off in the distance, but I know things are going to change. I know things will be different, and I'm not. And maybe I'm here right now, but that's okay, and I can move past that. But yeah, consistency is a huge. Just again, that playing the soundtrack, right?
That's right.
Soundtrack. Every day.
Rewind and replay. Rewind the 8-track and rewind.
Yeah, right. It just kind of keeps.
I still have mine. Okay, don't knock it. I still have mine.
Well, and life is the best teacher, right, Roz? I mean, like he's talking about your toolkit. Well, you get those. That's where a lot of times the toughest challenges we go through give you the most growth and the most improvement in your life because they're adding to your resilience, your perseverance, your intentionality to really be the person you want to be. Well,
that is a great point, Russ, because when we talk about scarcity and abundance, when something does happen to you, it puts you in the mindset of like scarcity, and it shrinks you somehow. And it is up to you to let go of the shrinkage, the plastic, like we shrink our food or we shrink our luggage when we go to the airport, and we have to start, just cutting away from all that stuff and let the air in, let life happen. It's life does happen, and sometimes it's not pretty. It's uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. I don't think it's supposed to be comfortable all the time, because then we don't know what that abundance looks like.
Right.
We don't know. We won't experience that. If it was always like that, there's no contrast.
Right. It would be like no difference between light and dark. And as you're talking about that, I'm thinking the song, Let the Sunshine In. The sunshine is out there, but you have to let it in. You have to let it in. You gotta choose that, right? And so you're right. If there's no difference between the sun and the dark, if there's nothing different between good and bad, and all these things, we would never know the difference. Abundance and scarcity, we wouldn't know the good things and what to really be aiming for if we didn't see that, right, Bob?
Yeah. Again, you can. How do you know if it's a great time if you haven't had a really bad time?
Correct. You don't know.
You don't know. And so again, it's how you deal with both. And again, we talked about the scare, but when you're having the abundant time, also revel in it, enjoy it.
Right.
Either, just kind of go because it also gives you that point of too, when you're doing something you really love and be present in that moment, live it, enjoy it, and think I really like this feeling, so that when something goes wrong, you go you can also just, by the way, think about better times, just to help, again, play a soundtrack. Say, all right, this isn't so great, but, let me just think about that. And I know that that's going to happen again with those people or that event or this thing. And it's in the future, but I can think about it and I can dream about it and I can work towards it. Right. And so you're going to again, building that kind of soundtrack of where you want to be as opposed to where you are. But again, if you don't have you got to have bad times.
And just to come off of what Bob said, that just triggered something, sharing part of yourself with others, helping out. I mean, when we, the endorphins actually let go when we start helping people just naturally, that creates that abundance and that space. So, it starts with ourselves, but it's also about sharing yourself with others. That's how you're going to make that connection. That's how you're going to, create the relationship. So it's not to forget that, because I think that's one of the more important things to remember when we're thinking about these things.
And it's great that you said that, Rosalind, because it is true. A lot of people in this day and age are scared to share themselves because of what we're going through in life. And you know what? That's one of the biggest things that I look for in an individual. When they hold back, I ask them, hey, why are you holding back? What's wrong with you? Let me know what's going on. And one of the things that I tell everyone, remember, comfort breeds what? Complacency. And if you're complacent, you are through and done in life. You can never become so complacent that you say, oh, I'm done. I'm here. That's it. Because you know what? That next level, and who's coming? The devil's coming to get you, because now it knows.
Because now you're on that same level.
You're complacent. But share yourself with the world and bring it all together and let them see who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody's watching today, and our last round here, I want you guys to answer this question and then let everybody know how they get in touch with you. And that question is, yada, yada, yada. You guys don't understand me. Your life is so easy. You can do this so well. And obviously, if someone says that, they have no idea what's going on in our lives, first of all. Second of all, because we all have stuff, right? We all have stuff. So, Roz, I'm going to start with you. So, how do you encourage somebody? Because we're all going through things too. How do you reach out and encourage somebody to buck up, little camper, and to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and really realize that they can have a good mindset, they can be positive, they can live an abundance mindset? How do you help them out? Go ahead, Ross.
Find your bench, meaning find the people that are going to be that support system. And people I've heard people say, I don't trust anyone. I don't have anyone. I am sure you have someone, you just haven't tapped into them yet. And the word is yet. So that is for the future. And really look at the bench that you have. Your body's going to respond somehow because you're going to feel comfortable with that person. And you start with that inch. You start, with, okay, that minute brought me some joy. So the question to ask yourself is, what brings you the joy? What brings you to that joy? And what brings you the joy when you feel that there's open space when you're speaking and you're trusting with someone. So that's the question that I would say. There's always going to be, life gets in the way, Russ, we all have the stuff. And I think it's also being the support for other people, like we were mentioning, because, this is a give and take. We can't just be takers. We can't take. There's a lot of takers in the world. Become different. Be a giver.
Yeah. So
your
good.
life will change.
Yeah. And people get in touch with you, Roz?
LinkedIn. That's
okay.
it. LinkedIn.
All right. Bob, you got it.
Wow. I want to there's like 3 different threads there on Roz's thing there. It's really funny.
No, we'll have another episode probably.
Episode 6 or something. Episode 6. Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely that whole idea of what does bring you joy, kind of reminding them of that piece. I will talk about that thing you said about the board of directors, your board of directors or your team, or whatever that is. You got to find those people. They do it, unless you literally are I don't know. I don't believe that people are that isolated in their lives.
I don't think so.
So let's just assume you have people you can talk to, but you've got to talk with them. You got to be able to share with them, and hopefully that those aren't the yes people, by the way. Yes. They're the people who tell you like it is. They're the ones that tell you hey Bob, that's not a good idea, right? They'll help you because you're looking for that. You're looking for feedback. You're looking for, if everyone thought the way you did, then that wouldn't be helpful either, right? You need to have that kind of different opinions and get different ideas. But within the context of that is you also need to be open. You need to be open. You need to receive those things. And, we use that word constructive criticism, but the criticism is probably too strong a word, but the idea is constructive, let's use your word, back to words, right? Raj, we were talking about words matters, feedback, constructive feedback. Hey, I'm really looking for your feedback on something. I'm not sure if I'm going the direction, but I know you've experienced this, or have you ever experienced this, or what do you think I should do here? Or do you know anybody else who's done this or experienced this that maybe we can tap into them and find those things out? But you've got to be open to that, to then kind of be oh, I never saw that perspective. That's a really interesting way to think about it. I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's really helpful. And be receptive to that. Because that's what I think people also get very thinking I know, I'm smart, I know this, I know. But sometimes you're going to go oh, I never thought about that way. That's an interesting perspective. And that's making me think differently about this. And so being open to that idea and, and taking some of that feedback in. Yeah. And then maybe applying some of those things and learning from them. And then kind of go, that worked. Wow, I'm going to go to that person again. So now they're in your toolkit, right? Oh, that guy, that guy's got ideas that are really helping me.
We just need to all just call Joe.
Yes.
Oh, you're all being trouble.
I want motivation because Joe's is my motivational
No,
speaker.
Man, I'm not anything. Listen, I can't say anything after what they said. They have it all. But, support groups, people that you surround yourself with. Those are the things that really come to light when you need them the most. And for me, it's all about understanding. There's a thing that I look at a lot in folks, and it's patterns. Everybody has a certain patterns that they go about their life in, and I try to extract that out of everyone that I come in contact with to see what they're all about. Because then at that point in time, I can sit down and I can share me. That opens them up to unlimited sharing, engaging, communicating of information. Now, what did I do? I just became an information gatherer. And now I'm going to try to build on what we have together as a team. Feedback is huge. And you know me, I'm straight up. So, hey, look, dude, this isn't the way it goes. What do you mean?
Yeah. Directness is.
Take it easy. It's a powerful way. At least I feel it's a powerful way to really get to let them understand where we need to go next, what they need to do next, when you really give them real powerful feedback on what you think should go next. But you know me, I'm just type in on LinkedIn regular Joe, I'll pop up. Here I am. Yeah, on LinkedIn, and that's it. Thank you guys.
Well, awesome as always, you guys. Appreciate you so much. Yes, we will have another episode. Try to get a couple more of the gang back in here next time. And so appreciative of all you guys. This is an ongoing battle in everybody's mind and their lives. And so that's why this topic is such an important thing. Next to AI nowadays, I think this is one of the most important topics. So thanks so much for being here. We're just going to end with everybody on the screen. Appreciate you all being here today. This is Russ Reels Live. We're here at 4 p.m. every Thursday going boom. That's it. Bring down the boom. And until next time, you have an amazing, amazing week. See you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.